Before we begin, please imagine the bell notification is on and you're subscribed to Huna Stories. I arrived at our anniversary dinner a little late, stepping into the private restaurant room with a woman no one recognized. She wasn't dressed extravagantly, just graceful and poised. The conversation slowed the second we walked in. My wife looked up, her lips forming a confident smirk. Without hesitation, she laughed loudly and said, "Everyone meet his mistress." A few guests chuckled, thinking it was just her sharp sense of humor. I smiled calmly, not hurt, not embarrassed, but I noticed something unusual. One person didn't laugh. Her so-called male friend sitting near the window froze. The color drained from his face as his eyes locked onto the woman beside me. The laughter lingered awkwardly, then slowly faded. People could feel something was wrong, though they didn't know what. My wife enjoyed the moment, convinced she had publicly humiliated me. She had no idea her joke was about to turn into a truth no one in that room was ready for. I guided the woman next to me to an empty chair and waited for everyone to settle. My wife leaned back confidently, soaking in the attention, certain she was in control. She always was. Humor had always been her shield. The woman beside me stayed silent, hands folded neatly, calm in a way that made the room uneasy. I waited until the noise died down again, then spoke evenly. "Since introductions are being made," I said, "it's only fair I join in." My wife rolled her eyes, expecting sarcasm. I placed my hand gently on the table. "This is Elena," I said, looking around the room. Then I turned to my wife. "She's not my mistress." A pause followed, short but heavy. I let it hang long enough for curiosity to replace amusement. Then I added calmly, "She's your lover's wife." The silence that followed wasn't awkward, it was complete. The reaction was instant. Her male friend jumped up so fast his chair scraped backward. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. My wife's smile disappeared, confusion flashing across her face. Someone whispered, "What?" Elena remained composed, her gaze steady. I explained quietly that I hadn't brought her for drama or revenge. We had discovered the truth separately and then confirmed it together. Messages, dates, lies that lined up too perfectly to ignore. My wife tried to laugh it off, calling it ridiculous, but her voice trembled. Elena finally spoke, calm but firm, sharing details only someone involved would know. The man avoided looking up, sweat forming on his forehead. The room felt smaller, heavier, as understanding spread. No one interrupted, no one defended anyone. Truth doesn't need support when it arrives this clearly. My wife stood suddenly, accusing me of creating a scene. I corrected her softly. "You did," I said. "I just finished it." The words hit harder than shouting ever could. People looked away, embarrassed by their earlier laughter. Elena explained she hadn't wanted to come, but silence only protects dishonesty. I added that I had confirmed everything before tonight, not from jealousy, but out of respect for myself. I wasn't accusing anyone, I was stating facts. That difference mattered. My wife searched the table for sympathy, but found none. Humor only works when everyone knows it's harmless. This wasn't harmless, it was exposed. And exposure doesn't need cruelty, it needs calm. She asked to speak privately, her voice suddenly low and fearful. I shook my head. "You chose a public joke," I said, "so this is the public truth." Calmness unsettles those who expect anger. Elena gently placed a small envelope on the table, not forcefully, just enough to be noticed. She said she didn't want apologies, she wanted acknowledgement. I then stood, thanked everyone for coming to our anniversary dinner, and apologized for the discomfort. That apology wasn't meant for my wife, it was for our guests. My wife stared at me as if she no longer knew who I was. And maybe she didn't. The man who once protected her image at his own expense was gone. I told her I wouldn't be staying for dessert. She tried to stop me, her confidence replaced with panic. "We can fix this," she whispered. I replied calmly, You stopped fixing things when you started lying. The silence that followed felt final. Elena stood too, politely, nodding to the table. We didn't leave together. Outside, the cool air steadied me. I didn't feel victorious, I felt relieved. Relief doesn't come from revenge, it comes from no longer carrying someone else's lies. The aftermath was quick. Calls, texts, explanations layered with excuses. I ignored them for days. When I finally spoke to my wife, it was brief. I told her trust doesn't break from moments like jokes, it breaks from patterns of secrecy. She cried. I listened. But listening doesn't mean staying. That difference mattered. I wasn't angry anymore. The anger had already faded. What remained was clarity. Later, Elena thanked me for standing firm. I thanked her for her bravery. We didn't keep in touch. We didn't need to. Our paths crossed for one purpose, to stop carrying someone else's deception. Once that was done, we moved on. Closure doesn't always come from long talks. Sometimes it comes from one moment when truth is finally allowed into the room. Friends asked how I stayed so calm. The answer was simple. I had already mourned the marriage before that dinner. The joke didn't surprise me. It confirmed what I already knew. Confirmation doesn't create chaos. It creates resolute. And resolute is quiet. Looking back, the room didn't fall silent because of drama. It fell silent because truth arrived uninvited. My wife tried to turn betrayal into humor. I turned humor into accountability. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult anyone. I simply finished the introduction she began.